Hi, this is Jean from Luxe2.0. I know it's been a while since I posted a video, so here is a Louise Vernis wallet that I'm going to dye. My first step is I remove the hardware using a very tiny Allen wrench. There are 3 screws that I need to remove and lift the emblem off carefully. You will see there's 2 sides to it. And when we did this, I noticed that there was some writing in Sharpie underneath the emblem, maybe somebody's initials. There's the full wallet that we're going to be dyeing. I actually wanted to try Stencil on the vernis, so I used my Cameo silhouette to cut out Stephen Sprouse style lettering on a reusable vinyl, and it's important to be reusable because I want it to come off when I'm done. So I sped this part up because you get the point. I'm just adding the lettering. I ripped a stencil there, so I had to put a different one on. There we go, all ready to go. I have a heat gun. I put this on a low setting. It's still really hot, so be careful. You could use a hairdryer too. I'm going over it and gently heating the vinyl and using my finger to press it down because I want it to seal to the vernis, but also not damage it. I want it to seal as well as it can because I don't want dye getting underneath it, which has happened to me with the embossed vernis. Here we're getting gloves on. This is acetone in a reusable container. This is Fiebings USMC black. It is an alcohol-based dye, and you need alcohol for when you're dyeing vernis. Any other dye won't work. So you can see I have a microfiber cloth. I cut them into small squares in order to, make the most out of my money here, especially when I'm using different colors. It's easier for me to use small squares than one big rag. And this is a pretty, not long process, but I didn't speed this up. Maybe I should have, but just to give you an idea in real time how long it takes me to dye a wallet. I'm going very gently because I don't want to disrupt the stencils. You may note that I am wearing a very stylish apron. My mother made that for me many, many years ago. Whenever I'm dyeing, I put it on. Makes me think of her and somewhat protects my clothing. More dye. Black is the hardest for me to work with. I don't know what other opinions are on that, people that have dyed vernis, but red and blue seem to be the easiest, or 2 of the easiest colors. They usually take with maybe 1 or 2 coats, whereas black, I typically need to do coat over coat over coat to try to get a deep hue. I also would typically alternate using acetone and dye in this process to kind of keep an eye on what level of color I have. But I also don't want to use more acetone than I need to because I'm not sure how that's going to affect the stencils. I also am trying to keep the dye like a light hand. I don't want it pooling on there because that's when it can get underneath the stencil. Saw my son just stopped by to say hello. That's how it's like trying to work at home with your kids. I'm homeschooling. I've been homeschooling since March 13th, 2020. Not that I'm counting. But when we were in the height of COVID, we bought a motorhome and started traveling. And that was really awesome for my family. We've done 30 states and 20,000 miles in just over a year. And a big reason I haven't been doing videos and haven't been producing as much work as I normally do is we have been focusing on our family in this time, and eventually they will go back to school, and eventually I will hopefully get back to this and post more often and come up with some creative new ideas to share. Okay, here we go. So there's our acetone. We're going to start removing the dye, see where we're at. Me sitting there thinking, what am I doing? Do I keep going? How's it going? Deep thoughts. I go through a lot of rags. More acetone. I decided to go with a color that was dark enough to have a contrast with the original Vernis color, that beigeish color, but not go pure black because, well, I don't know why, that's how I wanted to do it. All right, moment of truth. Fingers crossed. Let's see what happens. We're going to remove the vinyl. And I can't tell in this shot. I'm doing a voiceover right now, if you can't see it yet, because my screen looks a little funky. But eventually you'll see the outcome. Well, this is like watching paint dry. Okay, we're getting to the time lapse. That'll be better. It is so satisfying. The tool I'm using is a weeding tool from Silhouette, or I use tweezers, or I alternate, but that seemed to work best for me, and I did not damage the vernis using it. So here we go. It's not too bad. Don't have a lot of bleeding. I'm digging it. So now I need to finish this area of the wallet, and I thought about doing more stencils on it and changed my mind. I decided to do an ombre that would continue that color gray. It almost has a purplish hue, like a grayish purple, and continue that up to the top of the card holders in the wallet. So I'm going to blend it up into a beige. I didn't time lapse this because ombre is one of the things I do a lot, and I wanted you to see the process. I use acetone soaked rag before I touch dye, and in this case, actually, I go back and use my old rags that already have dye on them, so it's not a ton of dye all at once. I do a lot of blending. Blend, 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 blend. Let me look at this rag. Okay, I see I got some black on there. Grabbing some more acetone. Want to make sure that matches the darkest color on the bottom of the wallet. If you notice in the background, there's some tables with purses on it. That room was supposed to be my studio, and my husband redid it for me. We got rid of everything that was in there, ripped out built-ins, had a whole plan. And then we went on the motorhome adventure and decided we wanted to move. So that room is, I guess, just storage for now. And I'm still working in the kitchen 4.5 years later. Someday I will have an actual studio. Someday. You can see I just pointed out there's a little piece of the vernis that wasn't accepting the dye, as well as the rest of the wallet, which is just how it goes. When you're dealing with pre-owned items, you never really know what you're going to get. Still working on bringing that gradient up. I try to keep the darkest at the bottom and then blend upwards using acetone. And you want to keep an eye on the structure of your vernis. If it's peeling, say you have a pre-owned item and there's peeling on it, you don't want to push it with acetone. It'll just make it worse. But in this case, the wallet, other than having some darkness around the edges, really was in pristine condition. All right, we're almost done with this part. That was a little longer than I anticipated. But I sped this up for you. We're going to reattach the hardware. And final product. I'm very pleased with how this came out. Thanks for watching.